Welcome to episode 4 of the Do It Faster with DFFS video series. Hi, I'm back. Wish me luck. This one's a little tricky. A default SharePoint form is just one long column of fields. By the end of this, you hopefully are going to see how to lay them out in rows and columns so related fields sit side by side, and how to divide them into multiple tabs, and also how to copy the new form to the edit and display form, and how to create restore points so you can roll back if you mess something up. In the last video, we applied DFFS to the new form on a list that had only a title field. I've changed the title column to employee ID so we have a unique identifier for each record. And over here you can see I've added a few more fields to our list. I've also deactivated DFFS on the new form to show you what the out-of-the-box form looks like with all these fields. Then we'll show you what DFFS looks like when it's activated. And then we're going to get into grids, rows, and columns. So let's give it a whirl, see how we can do here. If we go back to our list and we click New. Oh, that's going to be our end result. Sorry for messing that up. We'll go ahead and cancel out of there. We will instead go in here and very quickly deactivate. And we will exit and show you what the new form with those extra fields, just the plain Jane SharePoint out of the box form looks like. Okay, you got that. Then we'll turn it back on, activate it on the new form. But what we're going to do right now is go up here to the corner where there's a little drop-down menu where we can import, export, and restore configurations. We can create a restore point. We can switch forms, or we can delete our configuration. I'm going to go to here because I've already created a restore point called Step 1 so that you can see what the DFFS form looks like with all these fields when you haven't done anything at all to change the configuration. So it's just a very plain form with all the fields, and attachments is at the very top. So let's go ahead and just show you how we move some things around here. I'm going to go back to the form builder, and I'm going to just go like this and remove the attachments. I don't want them at the top. Then I'll go down to the bottom of the form, and I will get this little plus sign, and I will add a field. And the field I'm going to add, I have to scroll down to see the button to select the field. I'm going to add the attachments down there at the bottom. So now it's still pretty plain, but now the attachments are at the bottom where we want them. All right. Now, just to save time, I'm going to go now to my Step 2 configuration and let you see that. And here you can see I've put the labels to the left of each of the fields, made sure they line up nice, and I've done a nice colored banner at the top of the form saying what it is. That I actually did that with AI help because we have this AI tab. I told you I was using the beta of the AI version, and it took me just 3 or 4 minutes to do that. But to reproduce it manually is a little harder. And but we'll get to a point where I show you what that looks like in current modern DFFS 1.x. But this is what we can do with SharePoint, and it can go a lot further than that. Let's move on to what have I got over here. That's the same thing. That's the same thing. All right, what we want to do is let's go ahead and just start doing something more here. We need to look at how this is structured. There are containers on this page that create the form. Every form is built inside a grid container. The grid, think of it as almost like an invisible checkerboard, and it has 12 columns left to right. In this case, if I were to change this little setting right here that says 6, if I change that back to 12, you'll see it takes up the whole width of the page. And now we have those long fields that are way too long for what we're going to put in them. So that's why I like to take that and make it shorter. But that would also allow me, what I could do if I wanted to instead, is I could just go into this control and I could say split this column. And it would leave this column but shorten it to 6 spaces. And it would give me an empty column over here of 6 spaces. And now I could say that I want to take employee ID, and I grab this little move button and drop it up there. So I can move things around. Job title could go over there. And new employee name could go over, well, let's leave new employee name. Let's move it up to, no, he's fine there, but let's look and see what that looks like now. So what I've done is I've kind of messed it up trying to make it 2 columns here. But at least you can kind of see how to move those things around. Let's do one more thing here, which is I'm going to roll this back to where we were a minute ago. Go back to my step 2 restore point. Somebody else, you must reload this form and submit your changes. All right, not sure where we're going to end up on this. We'll find out. New form. What does it look like? Okay, that's where we started, so that's all right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put in tabs. So let's grab this button right here, can add a row above. These buttons in the center add rows at the top or the bottom. This one in the middle can add a new column, but I don't really want that column, so I'm going to get rid of it. Remove that column. What I want to do, first of all, is show you that every HTML section, every rich text section, every field has to live inside a column, with maybe a few exceptions. But when you understand that the column is kind of the lowest level container, then it makes it a lot easier to think through this. What I want to do though right now is I want to, within this row, I want to add a tab set. I don't have a choice to do it here, so let me see if I can do it from right down below. There's nothing there I can do it with, so I think I need to give myself a new row. So I'm going to add a row above, and then right in this column, I am going to go and add a tab set. So I hit add, then I go down and I grab tab set, and I can put it either before this row or after this row. and I'm going to put it after the row that this is in so that it stays in here. And there's our tabs, tab 1 and tab 2. We can click the edit button and we can go change the names of these tabs. So this could be the employee information, and the other tab could be the go up there, tab 2, this could be the job information. And having created that tab set, now I can move these other things around. First of all, I'm going to grab this title and drop it up above the tabs. And then I'm going to grab my employee ID and slide it up. No, I can't slide it, so I'm going to actually remove it there. And I'm going to go up to my employee information tab, and I'm going to add a field after my column bucket within this tab set, and I'll go grab that employee ID. So now it's there. So let's see what this form looks like now. So far, it's got all these fields on the employee information tab, and all the, in other words, these fields at the bottom are duplicated because I haven't taken them off the other part of the form yet. So at this point, let's just make our life a little simpler by going and jumping back to the step 2 to see how it ended up in the end. Let me look at now. This is done with the beta version. I want you to also see the non-beta version because it looks just a little different, still works very much the same way. But notice in the form builder, we don't have those plus signs. We do have these things up at the top that we can pull down. For instance, if I want a tab set, I can grab it here and drop it onto the form. And then I've got my tabs there just like I did on the other one. So it looks a little different, but that's basically the same process. And let's go to import export here and go back to my step 2 and see what that looks like. And preview this form. So here's essentially the same thing as you saw on the other form. So that covers, I think, pretty much everything, but let's look at our checklist and see if I got it all done. We showed you a restore point. Oh, I didn't show you how to copy a configuration. We talked about grids, rows, columns. We saw fields moved around. We did a tab set. We did see an HTML section. You can also put in a rich text section, and that's pretty self-explanatory. But now we need to show you how to copy. So if I want to copy my new form, I'm going to save my new form configuration just so I know that this is what's currently saved. And now I'm going to switch to the edit form. I'm sorry, the view form, the display form. And it doesn't yet have a configuration. So I will go in here to the import export, and I will restore my step 2 let's see, this is at 9:49, that was 8:45, so this is the most recent one. Restore is the word that DFFS uses, but basically I'm copying because I'm taking the configuration from the new form, putting it on the display form, and now you can see, because it doesn't have input boxes, it's only going to display data. It looks a little different. And if we quickly get out of here, save that, we'll go and we will actually put a quick piece of information in here. So let's call this employee 1940258, and job title will be SharePoint developer. Name is Donald Duck. The department is IT. The manager is Minnie Mouse. And our dear friend Donald is going to start on August 17th. There we go. Let's save that. We're returned to our list. I haven't built out the view with all of the fields, but it's got a few of the basic ones. You can change that just like any other view. And now let's go look at the display form. I forgot to activate DFFS on the display form. And that just shows you that you can have the two, the out-of-the-box form and the DFFS form, living side by side as you build the new DFFS form, and then switch over just by coming in and clicking that button. All right, I'm going to exit, and we'll now see when I click back into that display form what that looks like. All right, thank you for watching. If this is helpful to you, share it with others by subscribing so other SharePoint people can find it as well. See you in the next one. That's the new form laid out the way you want it, tabs and all. You've still got edit and display forms sitting there untouched though. Next video shows you how to copy all that work across in a couple of clicks instead of building the same form 3 times. Subscribe if that sounds useful.